Detoxing is really important. And that being said, it's really, you're not going to know what to detox unless you're basically testing. And so I think that's the big premise that I wanted to emphasize, is that we're definitely underutilizing testing. And now the big problem is that, you know, what to test and who to go for testing, right?
Holland, do the two testing mechanisms that I know are the easiest, and one of them, because my father, I think I told you, like, my father passed away when he was 56 from kind of a rare form of prostate cancer, and so, like, I've been having to test just in case, right? Luckily, nothing's shown its ugly head, but I used to always go to, like, Any Test Lab, which is like a physical place. It's a nationwide chain, and they just have tons and tons and tons and tons of things. But you can walk in there and kind of put your stuff together. What was going to ask you? Have you seen that? And then what is Everlywell doing? That was the other one that was like popping
Yeah,
up. But where
I
should
think
we get these?
Everlywell is a nice business model. I
Mhm.
think they have um they've really pioneered this at-home test, and it's a hard call because obviously we work with different companies for different reasons, and it doesn't mean Everlywell is not good. I will say some of the tests, there's only so much you can get from a blood spot card, right? And there's only so many details. So I think it's good for some tests, and I think it's inadequate for others. So as a mass population, I think it's great. And then if we're kind of more talking on the peak performance level, it's probably sub-therapeutic or sub-diagnostic. Like, for example, like, let's take your case, for example. Um, if I were to do it at a very concierge level, given your family history, you should have a Pronovo scan, which is a full body MRI, which uses AI to analyze everything, which you're never going to beat AI. I mean, I know this is also a very techie group. You're never going to beat AI who can analyze 1 million images in a second and compare it to a 5 million image database. No human's ever going to beat that. So I think AI is going to dominate radiology. So Pronovo is a MRI scanner that the guy who founded it is both a radiologist and physicist. So he actually modifies the MRI machine to acquire the images in a special sequence so that AI can then read it better. So that stuff is super advanced. So I would have a Pronovo scan, and then there's a test called GRAIL, GRAIL, and that uses PCR molecular testing. So those can detect like 5 cancer cells at that level, right? So people who get, let's say, a pancreatic cancer diagnosis, most people don't get diagnosed until stage 4, and then you've got about 3 to 6 months to live, which is very hard, right? But then if you catch it when there's only 5 cells at stage 2, you're lucky. I had a friend, he got caught, I think his was at like stage 2, 3, but he got lucky because they caught it because he was getting jaundice. So it caused enough of an obstruction where he had a backlog in his liver. Had it not been that, they would have just caught it late and he would have, pretty much died. That type of thing. So I think that's kind of where I think the biggest part in longevity is. It's also it's a little bit Brian Johnson philosophy, right? Don't die. That's kind of his moniker. The other thing I think is also about, what do we do to, I'm sort of more of a fan. What do we do to undo what we do to our body, or what do we do to undo what's exposed to our body? So saunas, to sweat out toxins, having certain supplements to help increase heavy metal detoxification, binders, because if you excrete it out of your body, out of your gallbladder in particular, it has to bind to something. Otherwise, you just reabsorb these toxins into your gut. So those are things that are really important as well.
Yeah, it's incredible.